And I was actually born at 26 Westminster.
Yep.
And my father was an immigrant from Africa.
Yeah.
And he made way to Venice in the late 70s. And at the time, Venice was a very, very welcoming, amazing place for my father. And when he got here, he was welcomed with open arms. And growing up here, I met so many wonderful people. And the people in the neighborhood were not just neighbors and not just faces. They were the people that also helped to raise me. And when my parents separated, my mother moved up to Santa Monica, and we lived in the Pico neighborhood, which was predominantly black, and an eclectic mix. We had a lot of Japanese people and a lot of Latino families, Mexican families. And what I will say is the bond between the communities of Venice and Santa Monica, but specifically Venice, was something unlike anything that I've ever experienced. And you know, I wasn't just raised by my parents, I was raised by the elders in the community. And they didn't just look out for me, they looked out for all the children. And it was something that was one of the most beautiful things I experienced, and didn't know how rare and important and valuable that was to me as a young black girl. Because not to circle back to now, but what we're going through now is so different than what I experienced growing up. The way of life for my son is so different. When I got up in the morning, I had neighbors that looked out for me. They walked me to school, they pressed my hair, they cooked me meals, they kicked my butt down the street if I did something wrong before I got home. And I just want to say that Venice taught me almost every single valuable lesson that I know about life, about what it means to be a good person, about what it means to be a good neighbor, about what it means to be a good human. And I, again, learned all of my lessons from the elders in the neighborhood, and I, continue to learn these lessons. And I'm just so grateful for the love and the community, and how they showed me how to be a fierce mama and a fierce community member, and someone to fight for what's right, even when it's not the popular thing to do.
That's right.
And sometimes I'm a little outspoken, but again, nothing good ever came easy, and I know that, it's not just up to me to leave it for the elder generations to do the fighting. It's up for me to do the fighting myself and to fight for future generations, for my son. And I can't tell you enough how much Venice means to me. It runs through my blood, it pumps through my heart, and it's the most wonderful, beautiful place that I've ever known in my entire life. I'm inspired by all of you in the room. I truly am like nothing you could imagine, and I'll continue to fight for all of us in the neighborhood, the eclectic, diverse, beautiful, wonderful, vibrant neighborhood that it is, for our historical monument sites, for the history that so many people just want to destroy or overlook or pretend never happened here. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to everybody, and I will continue to fight. And I love Venice, and I love you all, and I thank you. Yes, and I'm also running for neighborhood outreach at our VNC. My name is Sarah here, and I will fight for you. And for everything that means something to Venice, from every corner of Venice. And I just also do want to say something about my father. As an immigrant from Africa, this was one of the most welcoming communities for my father. And my father was one of the most kind, loving, selfless people. He taught tennis down here in Venice, paddle tennis, and he also instilled in me what it means to be a good person. And if my dad had $5, you had $2.50, and that's how I live my life, and I know that he's proud of me, and I know that he raised, as he would say, a hard-headed daughter. So I love you all, and I thank you all.
you have to be registered in order to vote, and your ballot will be sent to you via mail or on your email. Is that correct?
Yeah, and you
get
can,
an email?
if you want a paper application, in your library. So you
The library has paper applications. If you haven't voted yet or registered yet, then pick up an application before you leave here today. Yes, sir.
What's the deadline to put yourself on the ballot?
The deadline to be on the ballot is over. But the deadline to vote for who's on the ballot, and Sarah is one of them.
When was the deadline?
It's March 10th.
When was the deadline?
The deadline was back in December.
Yeah,
like
it was some
December
time ago.
29th or 30th.
It was some time ago. But it's so important that you vote, because being represented on, let me just explain a little bit more. The neighborhood council is an elected body. It's in the charter of the city of Los Angeles. So the neighborhood council is advisory to your city council and to other city departments throughout the city of Los Angeles. So one of the things that we tried to get through the neighborhood council last year was representation on district levels, so that districts that we used to have in the Venice community would have a representative that they knew that they could go to, that they could share their concerns and thoughts about, and someone that they knew would be sitting on the council representing their points of views and the things that they were most concerned about. So I, in the first Grassroots Venice Neighborhood Council, was the representative for the Oakwood district. We had 7 districts at that time. And it was a much better system because you were able to work your community, know your particular people in your area, and advocate for those things that were a particular concern to you. Those things will not happen unless you get a majority of the neighborhood council to vote for that. And the only way that that will happen is if you go to the polls and vote for who you would like to have representing you on the council. So please pick up the application today, fill it out, submit it, and be eligible to vote.
With their ID, make sure they know that part.
With your ID. All the information is on the application, but when you submit your application, it must be with your ID. Yes, sir.
Is the 30th of November, December, the steady deadline?
That was the past deadline.
Is it steady as in that the norm?
I'm saying, is that the norm?
Yeah.
I don't know norm if you mean if that's the deadline every year, but the deadline is made every year, and it is determined by the city clerk of the city of Los Angeles. Pardon me?
That is just what I meant. Is it usually 30th of November, maybe in the past 5 years?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Naomi, it's only been in the last year 2 years ago was the first election where they switched this. We used to have our elections in like May, and now there's 99 councils, so what they decided to do was kind of cycle the councils through because they can't do all the elections
So that they
at
have
once.
different elections.
So we are in the first group, which unfortunately is really annoying.
So before the switch, before the novel switch.
Before it switched,
Like
it was like
when
in
the elections
May,
were
and then
held
you could candidates.
When the elections were
would
held in May, what was the deadline to put yourself on the ballot?
It used to be, yeah.
No.
He wants to know the date when it was.
No,
It'll
yeah.
probably be
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I want you
He's
to finish.
asking when it was in May, what was the deadline?
Oh, I think it was
to be on the
March.
ballot.
It was like March.
January.
It was March.
You was digging a hole, I
Yeah.
want to see, huh?
It was like March, I think, then.
March.
It's usually like 2 months
They
before
did everything they could
Around
to
2 months
suppress our
before.
votes. That's how she
And it was March something for how
every
many?
day,
For a
no
mail.
date.
No, it was March, like how long was it March something? The
Oh,
deadline.
I think, I don't know, it usually is like what, they give you like 2 months to register?
Oh, yeah,
6
so they,
weeks,
yeah,
I don't
so
know.
what happens is they gave us a couple of months, and so it was, I think they just first announced it, what, like September, right? So it was like October, November, and December was the deadline.
Yeah, we don't know the exact dates,
All
sir.
right, yeah, okay, so just 2 months before the election itself.
That's about
What it seems to
Something
be.
like that. You know.
Hey, Naomi, can I make a plug for myself?
Sure.
I put myself
Say it out
on the
loud.
line for getting neighborhood representation,
Yeah,
which is why they're putting up a candidate against me. Because I fought really hard for that We lost it by one damn vote, and I
What,
will
I'm
not
sorry,
forgive that person for
what
not
did you fight
showing
for? I
up
missed
for
it. I'm
meetings.
sorry, I honestly missed it. What did you fight for?
What? I fought for neighborhood representation, the kind of representation. We spent hours
Neighborhood
coming up
representation
with,
meaning,
meaning you had accountability at the local level, like you had people representing you from Oakwood, people representing you from
East Venice.
East
Yeah,
Venice.
instead of the council being general in terms
Yeah.
of representing Venice in general, before we had districts so that
it's that
you have
real
particular.
celebration that y'all already saw.
I'm sorry?
Naomi, you have your book open. Can we move forward with
Yes,
the
we just
program?
not gonna say it, but it's still, I'm from the South, it's like, we love it.
I can talk to you about it
We
later.
had the conversation. All right, but so neighborhood,
Yeah,
meaning,
but, thank you for your,
like non-sport, like, these,
your,
like, sports
your,
silence.
but we gotta continue on.
Man, I'm sorry, Mr. Actually.